tonight. Don't miss the biggest night in MMA. PFL is more than a fight.
Catching up on any NFL game is easier than ever before.
Looking to the end zone for the win!
Oh my gosh, one of the great games you'll ever see.
The competition is back, and the UEFA Women's Champions League looks set to be bigger and better than ever before.
It's their time, a night to remember.
The following programme is recommended for those 16 and over, as it contains sporting violence, possible bad language, and flashing imagery.
This is the moment the world has been waiting for. The judges are ready, the fighters are ready, the boxing world is ready. The fight starts now! Touch
So aggressive, so focused.
It all comes down to this.
Still the undisputed champion of the world.
Press conference, live on DAZN.
Birmingham, Manchester, London. 3 great British cities linked by 2 legendary boxing families. The road that connects them is littered with hatred and revenge. At the end, a rivalry that spanned 2 generations and over 35 years. Is that rivalry going to end on Saturday? We'll find out. But before that, this is the press conference for Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn.
The greatest rivalry in British boxing history. Benn Eubank.
Everybody took sides.
Every time they got in a room, you were on edge.
It can kick off at the drop of a dime with me and him.
When they come to centre of the ring, it was just edge of your seat stuff.
About they love to hate. Eubank, he was the master of technique. Benn was the master of violence.
Imagine if the sons would fight. There is nothing bigger than Eubank Benn.
He is exactly like his dad, and I'm exactly like mine.
This is personal. We have to make this fight.
What's on the line and family, legacy, the Eubank name. It's a huge amount of pressure.
What's in my DNA? What's in my veins? What's in here?
I wanted to be a part of something that's never been done before.
The last fight, I believe my dad should have won.
The things that his father put my father through, I can't forgive and I can't forget.
The ferocity, so reminiscent of his father.
I'm an emotional fighter. Fight with my heart on my sleeve, and it's just the way I am.
In my mind, it's impossible for you to win.
I know how to hurt people.
I can't lose. I refuse to lose.
It's a public execution.
Welcome to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where on Saturday, under the brightest of lights in front of 65,000 screaming fans, a decades-old rivalry spanning 2 generations will potentially come to an end. But for now, it's not a war with a fist, it's just a war of words that we're going to be serving up. This is the press conference for Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn. Guys, I'm Josh Denzel, and I'm delighted to be joined by 2 former world champions. We've got Darren Barker and Barry Jones. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. You can feel the energy in the room's building, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's been a little bit spicy all week, and not as bad as it was, when the fight was announced, of course, with Chris and the Egg. But still, there's tension there, and they're having to make weight. The fights are coming. They're in the zone. Certainly, Conor is certainly in his zone. So today might be a little bit chaotic, I feel.
I got to talk about the beginning of this road, the reason why we're here. I mean, the fathers, Nigel, Chris. I mean, you actually fought on the undercard of the second fight, the rematch in Manchester.
So old.
I'm so old. I was only 34.
He was all then as well. Now talk to me. What was it like, and what was that? Did you see that? You know, did you foresee 35 years later or 30 years later that we'd be here, their sons would be fighting? That was the hatred that strong.
First of all, I can't believe we waited that long for another Benn and Eubank to be in the ring, because that fight was a draw, but everyone thought that Nigel won and it needed to be concluded, and it hadn't. But the atmosphere was amazing. I remember the fight got delayed. I remember it was on Threshold TV at the time, so they only got a time slot to put the fight on. There was a real panic because it was raining, only a little light mist of rain, but the people wouldn't sit down ringside, so they couldn't get them in the ring walk until they sat down. So it was so chaotic, and then they got in the ring. The fight wasn't as good as the first, but the atmosphere was tremendous. And after the fight, they walked past each other in the corridor, and I thought they were going to kick off. I thought it was going to be absolute chaos, and they just looked at each other and walked past. I mean, I don't know what happened. I mean, I think they just realised they just cleared £1 million each. I mean, they knew how to sell a fight. Yeah. I think the hatred is real.
Yeah.
They knew how to sell a fight. They were more than just boxers, more than just rivals. They are showmen.
Darren, you've been around these guys, you know, from the start of their careers, really. You remember the original fights. Now, talk to me. You talk about this hatred is real, and we've seen in the antics in the build-up. We waited over 2.5 years for a second bite at the cherry, as it were. Do you foresee anything, you know, below board going on here at the
look, potentially. We've seen a lot already. Sometimes the week of it's a little bit more tame, all the talking's done. But one thing's for sure, they've inherited their father's personalities to a degree, and what that will translate to on fight night is fantastic. All action fireworks. I just believe that eccentric, almost arrogance that Eubank has, similar to his dad, and the fire, as you can see here, from Conor, is exactly what his dad.
The coiled spring,
yeah, but I love that, because one thing's for sure, when that first bell goes on Saturday night, you know this fight will not disappoint. There's too much on the line here. You can see what it means to them. They're passionate individuals. You know, this is bragging rights. This is pride. This is the family name at stake. They cannot lose against that family name's bitter rival.
You talk about the egg slap there, and did we need it at the time? And I want to talk about the reaction to that, because at one point Conor Benn was the boxer of the people, as it were, and Chris was the villain. But we've seen that kind of change in the reaction to that egg slap on social media and around the world of boxing. People were like, you know, it's clever, it's Chris Eubank. But, you know, if that had happened, you know, before everything that kicked off, I don't think it would have had the same reaction.
No, it wouldn't have, for sure. But I think what
Aaron doesn't agree with me.
Well, no, look, it's just massive. It's massive, but it's happened now, and it has made this into something bigger. So even though it would have been big, it has elevated it.
I think Chris has done that because Chris has to be in control. Conor has to be angry. Yeah. Chris has to be in control. Now, Chris being in control makes Conor angry. I mean, the same as their dads, by the way. Yeah. This is it's the same thing again. It's just one big loop. So when Chris is in control, he's a better fighter for it. He wants to command everything, that he always has in his whole career, about the terms, the conditions of the fight, everything else, the build-up, and also what happens in the fight itself. And Conor, like his dad, when they fight angry, they're better, because they're unique characters, so they can use that anger and harness it to the best of their ability. Some people get overwhelmed by anger and lose their shape, lose their mind, but the Benns know how to control it. And I think the fact that egg slap got Conor crazily angry, and also for Chris Eubank Jr., happy that he knows he's in charge of everything. I think we're going to see the best of both.
Well, there's been a lot of shenanigans outside the ring, but I promise you they have been trading inside it. Let's see what Chris Eubank Jr. has been up to.
A lot of guys like the right uppercut. A lot of guys throw it just without anticipation and without specific intent. Like those two shots, this right uppercut and this shot, those two shots, you have to have a specific intent or perfect rhythm to throw those shots. Because those are some of those dangerous shots. Yeah, that's to come up with. That's to come up with something. Even a lot of guys have a good rhythm for throwing those shots. Whether they throw single shots or not, a lot of guys have a good rhythm of throwing shots. So since they have a good rhythm to throwing shots, it's cool. It works for a lot of people. For a lot of people, it don't. And you every time I see you throw it, every time I see you, you always throw that shot. So I said, okay, if that's the shot you want to throw, now the only thing we got to do is either disguise it or add to it.
Jonathan Banks there with some words of wisdom, which brings us on nicely to the tactics they're going to employ. We've spoken a lot about emotion, but when you take emotion out of it, you have to have the right game plan. And what do you foresee Chris Eubank Jr.'s game plan going into this fight? Because he probably feels that he knows the anger's there and the aggression's there. How is he going to deal with it?
I think at times, majority of Eubank Jr.'s career, I think he kind of freeballs it.
Yeah,
he kind of does. He goes with the flow. He sort of adapts really well. One thing's for sure, he trains his socks off. I think people don't understand that, because if you watch his fights, he's always high energy. He never really fades that much. He throws a lot of shots. But look, I think game plan-wise, I think it's about imposing that size, but being smart with it. I think the jab's key. On the flip side, I think Conor Benn needs to really work off of that fire, that energy. I think he needs to stay low. I think he needs to target the body with a jab. But yeah, I just see this being 100 miles per hour. I see it being frantic from the off.
It's going to have to, because Conor's going to have to push the pace. And people talk about if he doesn't get him out within 3 or 4 rounds, he's done. Not necessarily. If that pressure has an effect on Chris Eubank, then Conor will be in control. When you dictate the pace, whatever pace it's at, you're in control of the pace, so that means you're regulating your breathing towards the work you want to do, which means you can theoretically last as long as you want to go. So if he can put Chris under pressure with his pressure and with his ferocity, then he is in charge of all the exchanges, so he can go longer and faster and harder. It's going to be difficult to close that gap from A to B. That's Conor's problem, A to B, because Chris has got a good jab. He does throw a lot of punches, though I would say that output has reduced dramatically. Yeah. He picks his spots more than he used to. So the gaps in between those combinations are bigger than they ever have been in his whole career. So Conor needs to use, and we also have the same when you're amateur. When he stops working, you go harder. Yeah. You've got to. That's your opportunity to go harder, work harder, put them under pressure. So for Conor, it's about coming in low, as Darren's been saying to me all week, and I'm going to steal it. Coming in low, because one, you get under the jab, but you get a better vision of the target. You got a whole new vision. You can see every angle to punch you through, and just punch up the ladder in combination, all the way up to the head.
We saw Jonathan Banks talk about his natural rhythm, his natural shots is that uppercut, left hook, and he throws that all the time. And that, for a fighter like Conor Benn, who's a smaller man, who's going to want to come in nice and low, that is the combination.
Look,
I got to say, I disagree. I see how low you go. How low can you go? I mean, like, that uppercut...
Yeah. If you watch that open workout, Ben's about as low as you can
No,
get.
so I'm saying, but that uppercut won't work if you're too low. If you're anything like below the navel, it won't work. Theoretically, you can't go below the navel with your head. But, I mean, it won't work if you've got to come too far down. And then you're exposed.
Seen Mike Tyson do it many a times, and that's something I know. Tony Sims obviously trains Conor. So, you know, he takes the best parts of fighters, does Tony, and tries to implement it in your style. And that's something that he does, changing the levels all the time, getting down low. And it makes, as Barry says, such a difficult target. I used to prefer punching down, I will say, but not that low. Not that low. And it gives him another angle to throw the big overhand rights. Definitely got to finish with the left hook for sure. But yeah, it's all to play for, it really is.
And when Conor gets close, you see him on the pads, there's a semicircle around your body. That's your area to work. If you can dominate that space, you're winning the fight, guaranteed. You see Lomachenko, Usyk does it in different ways with the pivots and the spins. So Conor does it really fast. Ricky Hatton used to do it really well. He'd spin around his body, open up the target for the left hook to the body. It gives you a whole new angle. You throw from a safe place, and then you can land it free. And so I think Conor has to do that. So Chris needs a solid jab, take the centre of the ring, a solid jab, and when Conor comes at him, to half a step back, uppercut through the middle, and then finish with the left hook. You've got to finish that three-punch combination, otherwise Conor's got an opportunity to land or to hold or to just push you back.
Now, this is obviously a massive fight, but there is much more than boxing on DAZN.
Greatness comes to DAZN this summer. The world's best players will be summoned together to decide the greatest club on earth.
Vinicius, great chance to score.
Goats will battle Wonder Kids. Fire will meet ice. From Boca to Bayern, PSG to Palmeiras, 32 clubs from across the globe will compete to be crowned
Rodrigo, what a strike that was!
world champion. And this summer, Haaland won't be watching from home, but you can on DAZN. in every country in the world. FIFA Club World Cup. Watch on DAZN from the 14th of June.
DAZN is the official global broadcaster of the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup, which will feature 32 of the world's top football clubs. Teams from Europe, Asia, the Americas, Africa and Oceania will compete for the coveted Club World Champion title. Watch all 63 live matches on DAZN beginning on June the 14th. I'll be kicking off the night. We've got Chris Billam-Smith against Brandon Glanton, Chev Clarke, Viddal Riley, Liam Smith, Aaron McKenna, Anthony Yarde and Lyndon Arthur, and of course, the big one. Boys, we haven't got a huge amount of time before the guys make their way to the stage. Give me your fight of the night contender.
The night is Billam-Smith Glanton. I think that's the sleeper, certainly. I just think they're two heavy hitters are just going to put everything on the line. But I think one that stands out is Chev Clarke, big gooner like yourself, against Viddal Riley, who lived literally a stone's throw away from this stadium. That's a big fight. The British Cruiserweight Championship on the line, massive fight.
Very quick one from you.
Aaron McKenna versus Liam Smith, I think, because Aaron McKenna's never done it. Any name with McKenna, any fight with McKenna is a guaranteed war. Liam Smith, it's true. Them brothers and Tyrone was not related to him, by the way. So they're a guaranteed action from him. And also Liam Smith's a really good operator. Does he have life left? I think he does. And if he does, well, he should be dominant.
Well, guys, the time is nearly here. Let's leave you in the capable hands of our Master of the Ceremonies, Thomas Treiber.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final press conference for Fatal Fury. A great night of championship boxing this Saturday, April 26th, from Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, England. It is all being brought to you by Ring Magazine and SNK Corporation, the publisher of the famous video game Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, with Eddie Hearn for Matchroom Boxing, Ben Shalom for Boxer, and Box Raw in association with Ring Magazine. Along with their great sponsors, Public Investment Fund, Visit Saudi, STC, SRMG, Dr. Suleiman El Habib Medical Group, Saudia, the National Airline of Saudi Arabia, Jeddah Season, Malaf Cola, Visit Qatar, Core Group, Desert, NHC, Jacko, Sky, Arab National Bank, First Data, Stella, and SMC. A big thanks to those great sponsors. The Fatal Fury event is now sold out, but you can still watch it live worldwide on DAZN and in the UK on Sky Sports Box Office. Let's get things started and welcome the participants of our first press conference here today. Our first two fighters competing Saturday in a 12-round cruiserweight contest. Let's first welcome from Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Let's welcome Brandon Bulletproof Glanton. And now let's welcome the fighting pride of Bournemouth, England, known as the Gentleman, Chris Billam-Smith. Our next two fighters competing Saturday in a scheduled 12-round contest. It will be for the British Cruiserweight Championship. Let's first welcome the challenger from Tottenham, London, England, Viddal, the Realist Riley. And now let's welcome from Gravesend, Kent, England. He is the defending champion, C4, Chev Clarke. Our next two fighters competing Saturday in a scheduled 12-round contest. It will be for the vacant WBA International Middleweight Championship. Let's first welcome from Monaghan, Ireland, known as the Silencer, Aaron McKenna. And now let's welcome from Liverpool, England, Liam Beefy Smith. Our next two fighters competing Saturday in a trilogy rematch scheduled 12 rounds for the vacant WBA Intercontinental Light Heavyweight Championship. Let's first welcome from Manchester, England, Lyndon King Arthur. And now let's welcome from Ilford, London, England, Anthony, the Beast from the East, Yarde. And now we hand things over to your host, Mr. Jamie Ward.
Thank you, Thomas Drybar. Okay, here we go. I think that was Derek Chisora, was it, down there in the front row? Oh, was it? Oh, Ben Shalom. Sorry, Derek. Sorry, false accusation. Sorry, I'm definitely sorry. Wrong person to accuse, Derek Chisora. What a start. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a hugely significant press conference for a hugely significant boxing event taking place this Saturday night right here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We know, of course, the story of the main event, 35 years in the making. The history book reopened, the family feud reignited once more, as the sons of legends, the sons of world champions Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn take centre stage to settle their own growing personal feud, which has bubbled up and boiled over completely over the last 2 years. Before we talk about the main event a little bit later on, we are going to be talking about the undercard, and it almost seems like a little bit of a disservice to say undercard when you look at the host of talent, former world champions and emerging stars that sit here today. A truly magnificent event brought to you by Ring Magazine to look forward to on Saturday night. Before we do hear from all the fighters taking part this weekend, we are going to hear from the promoters as well. Firstly, Mr. Ben Shalom of Boxer. Ben, in terms of this, just to be here on this stage, a magnificent event for us all to look forward to on Saturday night. You've got a couple of guys on this undercard in big fights for their career. What does it mean to you, and what does it mean to Boxer as well to be here?
Oh, it means a lot. It's an absolutely enormous event. 4 unbelievable British fights on the undercard. As you say, each one of them could easily headline their own shows. But for our guys, Chris Billam-Smith, coming off the back of the defeat against Zurdo Ramirez for the unification, looking to bounce straight back in against Brandon Glanton, who we know very well. It's an absolute firefight, and Viddal Riley is his chance to make a huge statement on this card. I believe he's going to steal the show. He's fighting the Chev Clarke, Eddie's guy, and I think we're going to get another win over Matchroom. But it is just a beautiful, beautiful undercard on an unbelievable show. Thank you to His Excellency. Thank you to Boxer, to Matchroom for putting on what is a historic event, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Let's bring in promoter Eddie Hearn. Eddie, we're going to let you speak now, because I know when Chris Eubank Jr. tends to be present at these press conferences, he doesn't let you get too much of a word in. Now's your chance to get it all off your chest. To be here for Matchroom, the same question I asked Ben Shalom. What does this mean to you and to Matchroom?
Yeah, incredible. Thanks everyone for coming today. Firstly, amazing support from the media for
a very big night for British boxing, a very big week for the Ring magazine, of course. Incredible support from His Excellency, and crazy to think that on Saturday night 65,000 people will dawn on this incredible stadium for a fight of the generations, Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn. But also amazing to think that 6 days after that we'll be closing down Times Square with the Ring magazine for just an iconic night in New York, and 24 hours later Canelo Alvarez will make his debut in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for the undisputed super middleweight world championships. Just an incredible time for boxing, and as you said, an incredible undercard up here on the Matchroom side. Two guys that we love are in huge fights. I think, as we said to Ben yesterday, Chev Clarke against Viddal Riley is a main event fight, certainly a co-main event on any big card. That's coming early in the night. And I think a fight that could steal the show is Liam Smith against Aaron McKenna. I think it's a brilliant fight, and even the two fights that we aren't involved with. Brandon Glanton's got plenty to say. I think he's a great character who's coming to win. Chris Billam-Smith's been an unbelievable servant for British boxing. And Yarde against Arthur 3. So an unbelievable undercard, an iconic main event, and British boxing firmly on the map this weekend. It's been a great run, thanks to everyone involved, Boxer, the teams, Ring magazine, our team as well at Matchroom, the best in the game. Shout out as always to Frank Smith there. He's been working around the clock on this event and at Times Square next week. Rick, everybody at the Ring magazine, thank you so much, and good luck to everybody up here. Remember this night, whether you're tuning in live on DAZN around the world or you're in the stadium, and of course if you're lucky enough to be fighting, remember this night. This is what it's all about. Enjoy yourself.
Okay, thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Ben Shalom, as well. We might come back to you if we get time as well to just talk about your guys on the card in better detail. Let's bring in the fighters then, and what a time it is to be a cruiserweight right now. When you look at the current champions, Badou Jack, a big fight coming up for him over in Saudi Arabia. Jai Opetaia, Ring magazine and IBF world champion. And Zurdo Ramirez, currently unified world cruiserweight champion as well. But there's a lot of good fighters following in the pack behind, and four fighters indeed, on the card this weekend. Firstly, of course, in the opener, it's Chris Billam-Smith against Brandon Glanton. Chris, I'm going to come to you first down there. Good to see you. I mentioned Zurdo Ramirez there. In the months that have followed on from the fight with Zurdo, what have you learned about yourself and what you still want from the mad old world of boxing?
That I've got plenty to improve on. That's what I've learned from that fight. You know, I'm honoured to be on a card like this. Thank you to everyone who's involved. But yeah, it's time for me to get back to winning ways, and that's the plan.
And in terms of the champions, I mentioned you talk about that ambition. What is a victory over Brandon Glanton your chance to do, in your opinion?
Yeah, he's highly ranked with all the governing bodies, so it's a good opportunity for me to make a huge statement and then get a shot at one of the champions again.
He's not been quiet in the build-up, and we're going to ask Mr. Glanton about it in just a moment, but what have you done to upset him? Where's that energy come from?
I don't know. I'm sure he'll tell everyone in a minute. He's told most people.
OK, Chris, wish you the best of luck on Saturday night. Brandon Glanton, welcome. Yesterday on the DAZN broadcast, Chris Billam-Smith was doing an interview and you were leaning over, saying something to him. I couldn't quite hear what you were saying. Can you tell us what you were saying to Chris Billam-Smith yesterday?
Well, you know what? First and foremost, piggyback off of what Ben said, I want to thank His Excellency for having me here, Boxer, Matchroom, obviously my management team, Nova, and Team Eubank. I wouldn't even be here without them guys, so thank you for putting this together for me. It's beautiful. As far as Chris, he knows exactly where that energy came from. Chris is a bitch. That's just plain and simple. Chris is a bitch. Obviously, I'm in the UK, so he's got plenty of fans here. But what I love about this place, it's a real fighting country. Obviously, everyone knows boxing was born here, so I won't have to worry about that long. Rounds 1, 2, 3, they'll roll by. They'll be screaming for me. Chris is a bitch.
What is giving you? Oh, sorry,
bitch.
Brandon, go on. Carry on, Brandon, sorry.
Oh, that's it.
OK. What has given you that opinion of Chris Billam-Smith in the build-up? Where does that energy come from towards him?
As he said, you know, I didn't plan on getting much into it, but at the media workout in 2023, when Okoli and Billam fought, he was very disrespectful. Obviously, everyone knows I was there in support of Okoli, helping him get ready for the fight. Would have been in the fight myself and had that upset, but yeah, it's helping him get ready, and he's a great guy, you know. I just, in appreciation for the fight itself, you know, I wanted to congratulate him for having the opportunity. There was no malice, there was no attitude, no problems. Just wanted to congratulate him for making it to that stage where I want to be. I stick my hand out, he walks right past me. It's disrespectful. So, as I said in the interviews, you know, we're men before we're fighters, right? And he is a father before he's a fighter. So, your son has a bitch as a father. I don't care about these cameras, these lights. I'm gonna fuck you up. That's why I'm here. So, it's not a show. Everyone knows I'm gonna give you brain damage, dog. So it's not a show. It's not for the lights. It's not for the camera. My family probably in their phone right now because they know it's true. They don't worry about me when I fight. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Just finally, Chris, I will offer you an opportunity just to respond to that one.
I'll leave my talking to Saturday.
Okay, well, they're talking very nearly over a great fight to kick things off on Saturday night. Chris Billam-Smith against Brandon Glanton. And sticking with the cruiserweight division, there is a domestic banger to look forward to on Saturday night. Our very own North London derby here at the home of Tottenham Hotspur, of course. British cruiserweight champion, lifelong Arsenal supporter, Mr. Chev Clarke, meets lifelong Tottenham supporter, Mr. Viddal Riley. Chev, let me come to you first. A bit like Chris, looking to bounce back to winning ways in the months that have followed on from that mascara defeat for the European title over in Monte Carlo in December. What have you done in this camp differently to look to improve on ahead of another big fight in your journey on Saturday night?
I've taken, first of all, good evening to everybody. Thank you to all the organisers, Turkey Al Sheikh and the ring. But yeah, after the defeat, you know, like anybody, you don't want your O to go. So I took myself away. Been in the dungeon, as you can see. And just been working on the things that I didn't do right that night. And yeah, come Saturday night, we'll show that.
And of course, no doubt every Arsenal fan's dream to fight here at the home of Tottenham Hotspur. Despite being the champion, how were you feeling about everything attached to this fight and the away day as well here at Tottenham?
I mean, it would have been better at the Emirates, wouldn't it? I mean, this is a toilet.
Depends who you ask, I suppose. And just finally, Chev, when you look at Viddal Riley as a challenge, he said this is his destiny to win the British title on Saturday night. What is he in the way of for you right now, and how do you beat him?
Look, destiny changes every day, doesn't it? It changes with every decision you make, so it's good he's got a crystal ball. But yeah, he's in the way of me providing for my family, and that's ultimately what it comes down to. So, you know, my family's got to eat at the end of the day. And, you know, I've got plans. Me and Eddie's got plans for the future. So it's going to be great. Tune in Saturday night. This fight's going to seal the show.
OK, well, let's bring in Viddal Riley. Viddal, I just used that word there, destiny. We know you're a lifelong Tottenham Hotspur supporter, fighting for the British title as well. In what ways is this just about the dream scenario you could have always imagined?
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank all the organisers, my respects to everyone that's allowed me to have this opportunity. It is destiny, because there's been many things along my journey that I've said I'd do years before I'd do it. You know, it looked like it might not happen. It looked like it would never happen. And then I'm on the road, I'm on the track. I'm here in Tottenham, grew up 5 minutes down the road, get to fight an Arsenal fan for the British title. This is destiny. I just need to fulfill it, and I'll do that Saturday night.
And in terms of Chev Clarke as a challenge, particularly his last two performances, you talked on the DAZN broadcast about being able to take something from them, two performances. What is that?
It's not just the last two performances. I've watched Chev for years. I've seen Chev for years. I know what he brings to the table. He's going to bring something different. That's exciting. That's challenge. I like that. But whatever he brings, I will come out on top.
27 years of age, you said you feel this has come at the perfect time for you. And you said you'll show Chev's age in there on Saturday. Ultimately, what does this come down to, in your opinion?
It's about waves and seasons. Life is waves and seasons. And now it's my wave. If everyone that is a Chev's age mate has touched the world level, fought for world titles, been at that level. He hasn't done that. He's missed his wave. I'm 27 years old. It's the right age to be British champion and continue to climb.
Missed the wave, Chev?
You know, some people ride the wave and some people provide the wave. So I ain't riding no wave. Pause.
Quick one from the two promoters, of course. This is Matchroom versus Boxer. In this one as well, Ben, shall I make your case for your man?
Look, I think Viddal, we started working with him a couple of years ago now, and I've always been amazed. You know, this is a guy that can make a lot of money outside the ring. This is a guy with millions of followers. This is a guy that brings so much else to the table, but it was always, Ben, I want to be respected. I want to do things the traditional route. I want to do things the hard way. And that's what Saturday night's about for Viddal. It's about proving himself. He's an elite level talent. Throughout the GB system, he was always considered the best. He took a bit of time away, came back into the professional sport, and has been flawless since. And I really believe this is his coming out party. I really believe this is his time. I think after this, I want to see him headlining shows. I want to see him being a big star in British boxing, and Chev Clarke standing in his way. The British title up for grabs, and this is everything that he's ever wanted at his hometown and in Tottenham. So I think there's only one winner on Saturday.
One winner, Eddie Hearn, according to Ben. Shall I make your case for Chev Clarke?
Well, I think Ben's right. I think it's a brilliant fight. I mean, I have to give props to Viddal, like not, you know...
Wait. What part is Ben right?
It's a great fight. But that's about where it ends. I think Viddal Riley, when he first came on the scene, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, I thought he was leaning himself into the YouTube world of boxing, and I respect the fact that he's trying to, go and win a British title. I just think that the experience of Chev Clarke, the pedigree of Chev Clarke, the amateur, journey of Chev Clarke, the Olympics, I just think he's a world-class fighter. He's moved incredibly quickly. He's had 11 fights. He's boxed as co-main event in Los Angeles in a war. He was boxing guys like Vasil Duka in his third and fourth fight. He lost against a world-ranked fighter in his last fight. But he must win on Saturday. And I believe he'll win. But I don't think it'll be an easy fight. And I think Viddal Riley's a quality competitor with a big heart. But I just don't think he's going to be good enough to beat Chev Clarke. And I think it'll be a tremendous fight. But I expect Chev to win this fight, get that British title won, and then move back where he should be, which is against the world-class cruiserweights.
I already have the title, Eddie. Come on now.
Win the British title outright. Chev, I'm on your team, mate.
One more.
I'm supposed to be bantering with him, not you.
Troubles in paradise.
I'll be screaming for you on Saturday.
Hey, Chev avoid confrontation anyway, so...
Sorry, mate?
I'm surprised he said anything.
Who?
Chev avoids confrontation anyway, ain't that right, Chev?
Me? I avoid confrontation.
Brandon said that he wants to bash you up and all.
Yeah, but be careful, your bra might get wet, buddy.
I can't understand you, but listen, we've been walking around all week, bro. You walked past me right here where my man's sitting.
Yeah, I tried to dap you up and you did the same thing Billam did. So two bitches on the same side. That's crazy.
Listen, if you want to do it now, we can do it now.
Hey, it's no problem.
Go on.
I'll fuck you up.
Please don't. Please, leave it to me. Please
don't start all of that now.
Hey, you better watch him out, boy.
What are you calling, boy?
Brandon's on smoke down there, isn't he?
Okay.
He's a punk, man.
Didn't want to interrupt that, but as I said, a terrific time to be a cruiserweight indeed, as if you needed reminding. There you go. And when you look into this next contest as well on Saturday night, a great fight in the middleweight division. Former world champion Billam-Smith back after a lengthy time out the ring. Of course, the last time we saw him was that defeat to Chris Eubank Jr. up in Manchester. He meets 19-0 Aaron McKenna. They call him the silencer. And Aaron, you believe on Saturday night you'll silence any doubters who are telling you that this is a step too far, too soon against a fighter like Billam-Smith?
Yeah, I understand there's a lot of people, saying it's too soon for me, it's too early, I'm too young. I don't have the experience, but now it's my time to show everyone that all the training, all the hard work, all the experience I've had throughout the years will pay off, and Saturday night I look forward to it.
What version of Billam-Smith do you want to beat on Saturday night?
The best version, and I do expect the best version of Billam-Smith to turn up. I want the one that knocked out Chris Eubank, and I believe that's the one that's coming. It was only 2 fights ago where he knocked out Eubank in devastating fashion, so that's the one I do hope that turns up.
Well, let's bring Liam Smith in as well. Liam, you've been at the very top of the sport. Despite that, as I say, 19 months out the ring. Do you feel like you're coming into this weekend with something to prove?
Yeah, first of all, Jamie, I want to just thank His Excellency for having me on a huge ring card. Eddie, Frank Smith, good to be back. And, I've had a tough 12 months since, obviously 18 months when I lost to Chris, getting injured after it, falling ill for the huge September card at Wembley. But it's good to be back. It's good to be back fit and healthy, back in shape, and I'm looking forward to this. And like I say, the best Liam Smith turns up. Aaron McKenna's made for me, and that's the one I fully intend to turn up.
When you came face to face at the Grand Arrivals, you said that you'd already noticed a few kinks in the armour. You said that you feel he looks nervous. Where did you get that from, and how did that come about in your mindset from just that short face to face? Yeah,
I just think like the style wise, the attitude wise, him and his brother, they're kind of the same thing. I think the game, they're very hungry, enthusiastic kids, but I also feel that's going to be Aaron's downfall. Wanting to have a 8 minutes day off. We've got another 3. We've probably got another one in a minute, another one tomorrow. I think he showed a little bit of a kink in his armour already, and he's got a lot to soak up on Saturday night. What do you make of that, Aaron?
Listen, this is my way of doing things. I don't change anything for no one, and this is the fight game. Saturday night, it's going to be a war, me and Liam Smith. I think it's going to steal the show. You can have it in the phone booth. It's going to be that good, and once that bell goes, I'm going out.
Not if you go southpaw like you did yesterday, Adam.
Yeah?
Not if you go southpaw like you did yesterday, it won't.
You never know. That's to keep you thinking. If I come out southpaw...
You've got an 18-foot ring, come out southpaw, orthodox or whatever way you want. 18-foot ring, I'll get you.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to be taking a step back.
No problem.
I believe I'm the stronger guy. After 6 rounds, you're expecting me to get tired. I think it's going to go the other way around.
No problem.
Can we push you both for a final prediction in one sentence, Liam Smith?
Yeah, I think, I'm not start very competitive, very early, but I'll break him down. I'll be too good for him later on.
I think I knock him out. I meet him in the middle of the ring, push him back. Halfway through the fight, that's when I'll really drive forward and take over.
OK, tremendous fight to look forward to on Saturday night in the middleweight division. Liam Smith and the unbeaten Aaron McKenna. Can't wait for that one. And we look forward to this one as well. It's one apiece between these two, and what a great time it is right now as well. We talked about the cruiserweight division earlier on, but to be a light heavyweight as well right now on the domestic and the world scene, of course, Arda Peterviev, Dimitri Bivol have treated us to 2 classic undisputed world championship fights in Saudi Arabia, the likes of David Benavidez, Callum Smith, Joshua Buatsi, David Burrell. The list goes on, are following in pursuit of those champions, and the winner of this fight on Saturday night, no doubt, will be right in the frame to put themselves in a huge fight at the back end of 2025. Lyndon, let me come to you first. One apiece in this one with Anthony Yarde. Is this a fight that you always saw on the horizon? Is it a fight that you always wanted to bury your own personal rivalry with Anthony Yarde?
It wasn't one where I would lose sleep over it never happening, but I always thought that it would happen eventually, yeah.
And in terms of the mindset for you, I heard you yesterday talking to Ring Magazine, and you said, look, after you fought Bivol, you really had to dig in that night, you went 12 rounds. In the fight that followed that, perhaps you found it a little bit difficult to get up for it in the same way. How has the desire refound you in this camp for this fight with Anthony Yarde?
Yeah, obviously it's the 3rd fight, and the way that I lost the 2nd fight is, I won't say embarrassing because it's a fight game, but it kind of stung me a little bit, and it was a hard bit of pill to swallow. So I'm here now to right that wrong.
Anthony, let's bring you in. I spoke to you yesterday, and you said, well, I said it's one apiece between you and Lyndon Arthur, and you gritted your teeth and you said that annoys me. Why is that?
When I first fought Lyndon Arthur, I was going through a lot. I've never been the one to make excuses, but it was during COVID, no crowd. I lost 4 family members, my dad being one of them. But my mentality at the time was, you got to be professional. If a fight gets offered to you, you got to take it. It will keep me preoccupied, keep my mind off of it. But again, I didn't get the decision. He won by split decision.
I was fuming. Like, I was just saying to myself, like, I don't think he's got the ability to beat me. When I watched it back, I was disappointed in myself. I was like, that's not me, etc. So when the rematch got made, I said, all right, I need to show them what I'm about. What caused a bit of grit as well is how he acted after that fight. After the first fight, there was like an arrogance that came about that wasn't there before. Before it was very respectful. It was like, you know, give me the opportunity, we're fighting, etc. I congratulate him. I even messaged him on Instagram saying, you know what, congratulations, bro. Like, I know where you come from. I come from a similar background. You get what I'm saying? You've bettered your life. And then I see some interviews where he's gloating and stuff, talking about it was easy, one hand and all that stuff. So I said, okay. Second fight comes up. I said, I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to show him what I'm about. And that chip still hasn't gone. I'll be honest with you. So I'm looking forward to it.
What do you make of that, Lyndon?
It is what it is. We're fighting Saturday, so it makes no difference.
Final one to you then, Lyndon Arthur. You've beaten Anthony Yarde before. Tell us how you do it again on Saturday night.
I think I get him late, if I'm honest.
And for you, Anthony, as I keep talking about big fights, await the winner. You've been in there with some of the best, Kovalev, Beterbiev, that everyone keeps talking about that fight with you and Joshua Buatsi. Who knows if we'll see that one day, but none of that matters. Right now, you've got a very hungry Lyndon Arthur in front of you. How do you settle your own rivalry in this trilogy on Saturday?
Not really thinking about Lyndon Arthur, but me as a person, when I got into the sport, I wanted to be entertaining. I think that's how I kind of made a name for myself. So you're going to see more of that coming Saturday. I want to be as exciting as I've ever been. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Okay, well, what a supporting cast this is. So much to look forward to on Saturday night. As far as this stacked undercard goes, we are going to pause now, I believe, for some Faceoffs main event press conference coming next.
Well, there's a lot to break down from there. Some rather spicy moments from places we didn't see it happen. I mean, Chev might have two opponents on Saturday.
Glanton wants to fight anyone. He'll have them all. But yeah, look, a little bit fiery up there. I liked what I heard from Smith and McKenna. Yeah. That's exciting. Yeah. You know, they've indicated their 18-foot ring. If McKenna, you know, looks to hold the centre of the ring, that experience, that rugged, tough, former world champion in Liam Smith, that promises to be a cracker.
Barry, that was your fight of the night, contender, no?
Yeah, it is. I just think because, you know, McKenna can only fight one way. I mean, that gives him a bit of service, but he likes to punch long and come at you. And I just think Smith, you know, is very adaptive fighting inside and slipping inside with that left hook. But this is a good fight because Glanton is full of energy, and certainly early in the fight he'll be 100 miles an hour. Now Billam-Smith has dined out on his durability as well. He really has.
It's going to be tested.
It's going to be tested, no, but it was tested against Zurdo Ramirez, which was a great fight. You know, he obviously got outworked and hustled by a fantastic fighter who boxed the best he's ever boxed, Zurdo Ramirez, to take the title and added his title off Billam-Smith. But still, this is the fight that he needs to win, Billam-Smith. He still have aspirations, you know, of getting that title back or mixing it with the big boys. Then he's got to beat the Glanton, who, let's not forget, is on form. He just beat the Russia recently and beat the guy, a Russian, in Russia. And most of Glanton's fights have been finishing early, but in his last fight, he stopped the guy in the 11th round, and that shows that power lasts a long time. And that'll be a little bit worry there for Smith.
Oh, there's something going on here. I mean, they've been talking to each other from the upper end of the table, but I think this gives the opportunity to light up a little bit. I mean, he's not ever afraid of a bit of conflict, and Chris isn't usually one to engage in a war of words. He's quite, you know, he's a shade McGregor. He's quite disciplined. He's hard working.
Rightly so, nicknamed the gentleman. But yeah, the 17 knockouts from the 20 wins that Glanton had, that's a big indicator of what he's going to try and do. And as Barry said, he's game as they come. Chris Billam-Smith, he likes to get stuck in. And like I said, I think it's the sleeper on the card. I think he's going to set fire straight away.
Billam-Smith reminds me of a fighter from the 90s called Nicky Piper. Boxed Nigel Benn, ironically.
Yeah,
when
I went to it. I was there.
Now who's old?
In your nappy. but they don't look tough. They're well respected, well spoken. They don't look tough. But they are as tough as you would find, and Billam-Smith is one of those.
Talk to me about this one. I know you got your opinions on it. Arsenal beat Tottenham in a slightly different sense. I mean, Chev against Viddal, I mean, this is a kind of, I would say that Riley's maybe unproven in the pros, but has a great pedigree in the amateur game.
He does. Represented Repton where I went. Chev, this man, we know exactly what he done in the amateurs, but it's a really, really good fight. So much on the line. You know, you mentioned the football clubs there. Riley from just a stone's throw away from where we're standing now. Chev Clarke. He wants to right or wrong. Mosquea didn't go his way. The Frenchman got the nod that time in Monte Carlo, so he's desperate to get back to winning ways. So much on the line in that contest.
And Chev has been matched, I think, too hard, but he's been matched really hard, so he's just full of experience in a short space of time. Riley doesn't have that, but Riley has tremendous skill and focus, and he's really patient with his work, and that's going to be important in a firefight, which he's going to be involved in.
I mean, this is a fight that we've spoken about briefly. It was a bit of needle there. I mean, they was talking about we can have this fight in a phone box, and I'm going to stop you late. I feel like Beefy, after that loss to Eubank, and it's probably a career-long layout, I think it's a year and 7 months, he's itching to get back and right a wrong and prove himself that he still belongs at the top table.
Yeah, 100%. And look, he's got an ego, and rightly so, with who he's been in with and what he's achieved in the past. So I make him right in the way that he's, you know, maybe a little annoyed at the arrogance or the confidence, rather, from Aaron McKenna. But I get where McKenna's coming from. Like, he feels this is his time. You know, this is the test that I need at the correct time. So, look, if what they're both saying, Barry, and they're going to meet in the centre ring, it promises to be a blinder.
I can't see how they don't do that. And I think, you know, how many times have we seen this? The young pretender before, you know, is he ready? And the old fighter who's, you know, has been a great fighter, but maybe at the end of his career, is it the pass and the baton? I think there's more life left in Liam Smith, I do. And he doesn't suffer fools. That's why when McKenna said something he didn't like, he jumped right on it. He won't have it, Liam Smith. I mean, the whole Smith family are the same. They're nice and respectful. You upset them.
It's two quite large boxing families going at it now.
They're on it, yeah.
How do you see this fight going? I mean, it's you know, the third fight of a trilogy, 1-1. We've heard a little bit from Anthony about the reasons why he potentially lost that first fight in terms of his mental health, in terms of what he'd gone through. There's a quiet confidence about Lyndon Arthur, though.
Yeah, sorry, Barry.
No, again, there is, you know, and he's a beautiful boxer at times, but he coast fights, and that's really dangerous to do. You know, he's had some good wins since he lost against Dimitri Bivol, which is no shame in that. But he's had a few trouble in some of those fights where he's coasted a little bit. You can't do that with Anthony Yarde. Anthony Yarde now realises he used to wait for the opportunities and then knock you out. Now, and in the second fight against Lyndon Arthur, he created the opportunity, he looked for it, and he got the finish. And I think that might happen again, Dan.
Yeah, look, I feel Lyndon Arthur really has to find something here if he's to push Yarde all the way. You know, the jab's going to have to be busy, but can he find that extra percentage required? Because Yarde, as we heard there, he's really got the bit between his teeth.
Now, we're just moments away from hearing about the Suns, but I think it's time to see why the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
Massive characters, so different, polar opposites. They're the perfect dance partners. You're either Team Chris or you're Team Nigel.
There was no in between.
Here you had two diametrically opposed individuals. On the one hand, the kid from East London streets, attitude, violent. Nigel Benn would walk into my office and I would never know if he was going to try and hit me or burst into tears and sob like a baby. Completely unpredictable.
Nigel Benn was my favourite fighter growing up. Fierce outside the ring, fierce inside the ring. His nickname was the Dark Destroyer, and I think he embodied that. There's almost this scare factor with him. He's the kind of guy you wouldn't want to see down a dark alley.
He would scream every time he knocked somebody out, like he wanted to beat him up again.
On the other side, you have Eubank. He would dress in exotic clothes purely because he knew it would get him front page on the tabloids.
The perception was that Eubank was the cocky, arrogant one. You know, the showman with the big truck.
What I saw was a physical specimen that had put in a lot of work. He was the master of technique. Nigel Benn was the master of violence.
I just want to go in there and throw hell for leather at him. Not boxing. I don't want to stand up there and box. I want to go in and have a fight with him. That was my attitude.
Eubank, initially, most people hated him because of his attitude. It was like, who do you think you are? He walked around like an English country gentleman. He upset a lot of people. But they all bought a ticket to watch him coming, hoping he'd get beat.
My father was the underdog, the great pretender at the time, the guy that people thought was a bit of a hype job.
Over a period of time, they began to appreciate the enigma that was Christopher Livingston Eubank.
We just clashed. We were just so different, me and Chris.
Nigel Benn did have a lot of hatred for my father, and it showed.
My dad couldn't stand senior. Still has to have a lot of patience with him to this day, so I completely get it.
Nigel Benn was so destructive, and that's what he brought to the ring, a very different kind of style to Chris Eubank, and that was one of the most important components of this whole rivalry.
You don't get more of a beef in boxing than you had with my father and Nigel Benn.
Hatred, revenge, beef. It's been passed down through the bloodlines. It's almost upon us. Now, we've got to talk about this main event. I mean, it's Fatal Fury. This Ring Magazine card is incredible. We've seen them kind of milling about here. They're being kept, you know, I think there's probably a tag on them that says they can't get within 20 feet of each other because it feels like the atmosphere, there's gunpowder in the air now.
Yeah, there is. Look, I spoke to both guys yesterday. I sat down and did an interview for DAZN with both fighters, and there's a gentle, confident, calming, aura about them both. They both know that they've done the work, they put in the work, they feel they're in the right place to be having this challenge put in front of them. And, you know, I asked Chris, you said last time, over 2.5 years ago, you only needed to be 60% to beat Conor. He goes, well, you know, it's a bit different now. I'm taking Conor a lot more serious. And, you know, I was hearing all the right things on the flip side. Conor he's just so focused on the task at hand. He truly believes there is no way that Eubank can beat him. And it sounds obvious that that's what you should be hearing from a fighter. And we know, we've spoken to so many fighters, you can see in a fighter's eyes if they're telling the truth or they're hiding behind words. And it got the juices flowing even more for me, having spoke to them both yesterday.
See, I think confidence comes from diligence, and by that I mean you do the work in the gym.
Yes.
Then you know. I mean, fights are won and lost the night before, in my opinion. All this stuff can have a factor, but when you go to bed the night before a fight, you can't sleep anyway because you're thinking about what's going to happen, what you're going to do, what might go wrong. You know, the fear of embarrassing yourself and all that sort of stuff. But ultimately, if you've missed out on a training session, if you didn't do that run, and I mentioned this a couple of days ago, early in the camp when you didn't need to really get up and run, if you haven't done that, that comes back to haunt you. So when you know you've done
niggling doubts,
all you can do is what you do. Boxing, being a boxer is quite simple but difficult. All you got to do is make weight and train. I mean, be fit and train. All the other stuff, you know, you either got it or you haven't got it. So, but those two things are very, very difficult. But if you do the work and you're honest and diligent with yourself, then you got confidence in what you can do, and that's all you can worry about is what you can do.
And that doubt would always be, oh, I haven't done it, but he has.
Yes.
He has done it. So if it does get hard, you assume that your opponent's done everything. And I tell you now, that boxing ring, that 18-foot boxing ring that's going to be just outside there, will be the loneliest place in the world for any of those fighters if they're not prepared properly.
Who is that, this 2.5-year delay benefited most? Is that Chris or is that Conor?
Again, sorry, I asked Chris this yesterday. I said, look, 2.5 years since the first fight, who does that time favour? And he said, look, I guess science would say it's favoured Conor. But he says, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I live a clean life. I give it absolutely everything. So he says, I believe my experience and where I am in my career, it holds me in good stead.
I don't buy that, though. It definitely favours Conor Benn because he's had more time to get comfortable with training in that weight, maybe fighting that weight, and also, I mean, Hallam. Also, as well, top man. Also, as well, you got Chris, who's now 2.5 years older. He's had to make that weight longer, so that's not ideal for him. That's the truth of it.
Delighted to be joined by Harlan Eubank, a man that is on the inside. He understands. We're talking about training camp. We're talking about long, hard runs. You've been there. You understand it. Talk to me about how Chris is feeling, his mentality, what this camp's been.
He's good. He's been training hard. You've seen he's really run the build-up to this fight. You know, he's engaged the British boxing public, and now he's laser focused. You know, all the talking's been done. Now he's ready to go in there and perform.
Harlan, we were just talking, I was going to back off of what we were just talking about there, the 2.5 years since the first fight was going to happen. I know you're going to be slightly biased here, but make a case for both here of why that time favours them.
A case for both. Well, Conor's fought 3 times since then against heavier guys at 154 pounds, so he would have felt a little bit more of what a heavier guy is presenting in 10-ounce gloves. A bit more experience at a higher weight class. For Chris, you know, he's a very experienced guy. He's focused. You know, he's had big fights since then. You know, he's dusted rust off at times from being out the ring over longer periods of time, and now I think he's ready to go in there and do a demolition job.
Is it a bit of change in Chris? Because, you know, he won't give us anything. It's the same demeanour for every fight with Chris. I'm the man, and I'll just do what I do and I'll win. Because of what this fight means, more than any other fight, more than a world title fight, arguably, has there been a different intensity or mindset with Chris?
For me and Chris, I just want to see the same intensity that he brought for the second Liam Smith fight. I see a switch in him since the first fight to the second fight, so all he needs to do is keep that now. I think he's had that reminder to stay focused, to stay switched on, and I don't think he'll make that mistake again.
You've spoken about Chris having been in big fights, and fights that are emotionally charged. Obviously, the Billy Joe Saunders, the James DeGales, the Liam Smith, the second fights. These fights are all, he can be a master of mental warfare. It doesn't seem to drain him like it maybe drains other fighters.
He's cool, calm and collected. He enjoys a little exchange, you know, it's natural for him, you know, he likes that. But now at this time, you know, a few days out from the fight, now it's time to focus and, you know, not let out that extra bit of energy before the fight and focus on going in there and doing the job.
Without delivering and divulging too much information, how do you see Chris approaching this fight? Because we've spoken so much about tactics, about how both men, you know, how they utilise their attributes. But how do you see it going for him, and how do you see him coming up?
I think he can do anything he wants in there, you know, regardless of tactics. I think he can, you know, for me, I think it's what's Conor going to do, you know. If he goes to the centre of the ring and tries to trade with a middleweight, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be a quick night. What's he going to do? How's he going to navigate that? I think Chris, as he said in the build-up, he will and can do whatever he wants to do when he wants to do it.
The vision, as you say there, is middleweight. The cut getting down to 160, never going to be easy. The rehydration clause. What have you made of all of that, and how is Chris looking on the weight?
I never like to hear about rehydration clauses. It's not, you know, it's an IBF clause and it's not for an IBF title, so, you know, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's always been, you know, and a lot of the talk building up to the fight for 3 years actually was, I'll fight him at any weight, you know, so to then put in rehydration clauses is, you know, if you want to fight someone at a higher weight, go up there, you know, and say, and, you know, and back it up, you know, and fight them at their weight. So rehydration clauses, you know, that's trickery, and, you know, that's not for me. But Chris, I think he'll be, you know, I hope he refuels up after the morning weigh-in, and I hope he'll be in there at, you know, 100% strength.
And as a Eubank, Alan, what does this mean, beating a Ben again? I mean, you're on the win column at the minute, the Eubanks as a family. Does this mean more than a world title? This because of the rivalry, because of the history?
I think it's a fun fight. You know, I think the fact that it's two different weight classes and it's been made happen because of you know, how juniors went about things, how he's entertained, because of the controversy and the story in the first fight, because of the, you know, substances, because of everything. You know, it's engaged the British boxing public. The fact that it's two different weight classes, I think that it's a fun fight. You know, it's something you can enjoy, but I don't think it holds the same weight. You know, for Chris, I know for Chris it doesn't hold the same weight as a world title.
Harlem, you've embarked on your own super successful boxing career yourself. Now, Conor usually fights down at your weight. Was there ever any talk of maybe that happening?
Definitely. You know, that was always on the cards. Yeah. You know, as we've gone through our careers, but, you know, it's about this weekend now, and Conor's got his hands full. He's bitten off more than he can chew, and after this weekend, I think he'll have to come back down to reality, and that's 147.
Interesting. Now, listen, let me talk to you. When you're around Chris and you're seeing Conor and you're seeing the media here. Is this what you're aiming to do? Is this the stages that you want to be fighting on?
100%. Chris has always been a big inspiration for me coming into the sport. I've seen him do it in the gym. I've seen the type of mentality, the type of dedication that he's shown, and I've tried to replicate that in my own lane, and over the years I've used him as motivation and inspiration to get to the top of the sport.
Harlem's got itchy knuckles. He wants to get in. He wants a piece of this. I know he does.
I was ringside at that fight. He's flying at the minute.
Thank
He's
you,
absolutely flying.
Thanks, bro.
Listen, you're seeing Conor Benn there. We're seeing him. He looks. I mean, he's always got that kind of steely look in his eye. I think that they're both. It's either you've got Ben, who usually look like he's ready to spring and explode, and Chris, who usually looks calm, cool, collected, almost like he's unbothered. But that's probably it disregards how focused he is on different things. I mean, I saw him. I was out in Saudi Arabia with him weeks ago, and he was supremely confident. He was walking down the pit lane where we were, and he was like, listen, he's like, he put his hand on my shoulder and he says, don't worry, bro, I've got this. I said, I'm impartial, brother. I'm impartial.
You ain't picked a side?
Listen, I can't pick a side. Listen, we're here on DAZN. We've got to be impartial. Stop sticking it on me on camera.
Harlem, though, do you think that Chris meets Conor in the centre? I think there's no doubt that Conor Benn's going to come flying out. To me, then, it's down to Chris. What does Chris decide to do?
Does he? Does he come flying out into the middle of the ring against the middleweight? I don't know.
I don't think he has any choice.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think Chris meets him there. Doesn't have to fight. Doesn't have to fight inside. He can meet there with a jab. I think Chris has always been known for his ferocity inside fighting. I think if Conor decides to meet him in the middle of the ring, I think he's going to be on the end of countless uppercuts, and I don't think he would have ever been hit like that before.
I think when you look at Chris Eubank, it's that even Jonathan Banks is talking. He's saying that uppercut and left hook is his natural rhythm, it's his natural flow. He loves to throw those shots. I mean, we saw him in the first fight with Liam Smith. I think he landed in that third round before he got stopped. He landed 3 or 4 or 5 uppercuts in a row, which, against a clever and well-schooled fighter like Liam Smith, you don't expect that. Does Conor necessarily have that same guile and ring generalship and IQ to kind of avoid those shots if someone like Liam Smith could?
I don't think he has that same IQ, that same experience that Liam Smith has. I think, like Barry said, he's going to come forward. He's going to, try and meet him in the middle of the ring. And Junior can box when he wants to box, but I think he really likes to fight. So it's going to be interesting.
Chris, Junior and Senior have had their differences. In your opinion, will we see Chris Eubank Senior on Saturday night?
I mean, Senior is a man that he lives and dies by his word and his stance. So, I think it'll be hard for him to move from, do a 180 and move from the stance that he's put forth. But who knows, everyone would love to see him there. But, a dad and son relationship isn't necessarily something that the general public can understand all the time. So I think they'll be okay regardless of if he's there or not. And I think that Junior will go in there and do a demolition job regardless.
Yeah, I think it would be great to see him there, but obviously, he can be a stubborn man. Like you said, he lives and dies by his word. So we'll wait till Saturday to find out. But we've been speaking a lot about Conor Benn and how he's going to approach this fight and what he's going to do. So let's take a look at what he's been up to in the gym.
What are you doing today? Is it sprints?
Sprint work, 6 300-metre sprints with active recovery of a 100-metre jog. 100-metre jog, 300 metres, 100-metre jog, 300 metres. Got it.
Time ready? So I'm going to cross over.
Yeah, sure.
Wait.
Right there. Because that's like, everything fast, 12, 200 for the lot. Yeah. 400, right.
Beats up, bro. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's CB, shut up.
Yeah, it's
I look
alright.
down, shut up. You just stole it from me.
Trying to get
It's
my
fine.
5 seconds
Nah, it's
here,
alright.
aren't
It's done now. Let's see. Don't look as good as Dan. Genuine question. Do I have a pose off? Okay.
I've been eating the same amount of him and not doing any training, so.
No, don't give it all that. No, don't rub it in. I've got to turn to me. I've got to turn to him. I don't block my sunlight though. I ain't even take attention or anything.
I'll get out of the shot.
Go on, Glenn. No, come get in. No, they say never trust the skinny ship, so you got to get in. Look.
I'll go in the middle. Before, after, during.
What do you mean? No, that's like we're tired.
9 more weeks of training camp.
Yeah.
You'll be shape ready, fighting ready.
Come on. I can have a 6-pack there. You don't have a 6-pack there, by the time we finish camp, you fail miserably.
Can't breathe out.
Pedro. A tope. Vamos.
And when Conor trains, he goes to work. I mean, I've got some friends in and around that camp, and I know he works extremely hard. He takes himself away, he pushes himself to the absolute max. But he's going to have to do that because he is a small fish in a big pond in terms of size right now. He looks a completely different human being than he did when he started his pro career. I mean, that is also 10 years of hard work. But even, you know, from his last outing, I think he weighed in at a career heaviest 153. I mean, he looks like a different human being in his foot.
And you know, you've had a bit of a luxury as well that he's been able to. It's still hard to make 160, I'm sure, even for him. But he's been able to train and replenish his body. Where other fighters, you know, when you're making weight, that you have to deplete your body of any goodness to try and make the weight. So you've had the luxury to be able to fill out in the weight as such, still having to, you know, move down into it. But so that makes you make him fit and stronger than ever. And also, he has to train with an intensity. You can't fight with an intensity 100 miles an hour if you don't train that way. And so that was his dad. His dad here, Nigel, is arguably the most instinctive fighter this country's ever had. And by that I mean, when he was tired, when he was hurt, when he was under pressure, you've seen the best of him. No, his first thought wasn't to do the right thing, it was to fire back. Now that can get you knocked out and in trouble, or it can get you a great win. Great fighters do silly things to be great. That's in my opinion, they do. No, they don't do the sensible thing at times. They understand you have to take that risk. So he was really instinctive, and if Conor's got any bit of that, he has to train with the intensity that you're talking about to be able to react in that manner.
We've seen him in the open workouts, the explosiveness of the way that he boxes. When he's dipping down low, like that semicircle around the body, he's whipping in hooks and uppercuts, and every punch he throws with bad intentions. But the question is, at a heavier weight, you put on a lot of size. Can you maintain that in the later rounds?
That is the big question, I guess, because I think, as Barry says, and most are agreeing with, he has to be, attempt to be the boss, be the aggressor, get in front of Chris Eubank Jr. But once you set that tone, you need to continue it. You can't then take a step back, because this man here, Eubank Jr., with his experience, he'll see that as a sign of weakness. If Conor Benn starts taking a step back, he'll think, right, his plan A isn't working. This is all me now. This is my fight to lose.
Don't we all? When you, I wasn't a puncher, and everyone tried to knock me out. So I mean, when you feel the guy who's meant to be the bully, when they start to slow down, you go, oh, that fills you full of confidence. And also, you can be exhausted, but then mentally, you get a little bit of confidence, a little bit of success mentally. All of a sudden, you get the energy to throw more punches. So Conor's got to keep that intensity, and that's why I hope. And I tell everyone at home, especially trainers, new trainers, punching the bag is better than punching the pads, because you've got to be able to punch in hard and let the punches dig in and have that energy to go the distance that way.
Barry, we could talk about this all day, but I think it's time to send it over to somebody who talks for a living, a Hall of Fame MVP ring announcer, the one and only, the legend, Michael Buffer.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the final press conference for the big event coming up this Saturday, April 26th, right here in London at sold-out Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's the Fatal Fury main event. On top of the card, a great night of world-class professional boxing for your entertainment. And it's all brought to you by the Bible of Boxing, Ring Magazine. along with S&K Corporation, publisher of the combat video game Fatal Fury City of Wolves, and Eddie Hearn for Matchroom Boxing, Ben Shalom for Boxer and Box Raw. Sponsorship provided by the Public Investment Fund, Visit Saudi, STC, SRMG, Dr. Suleiman Al Habib Medical Group, Saudia, the national airline of Saudi Arabia, Jeddah Season, Milaf Cola, Visit Qatar, Core Group, Desert, NHC, Jocko, Sky, Arab National Bank, First Data, Sella, and SMC. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this Saturday night, April 26th, at sold-out Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, London, broadcast live worldwide on DAZN and on Sky Sports box office in the UK, also available on DAZN in the United Kingdom. It's the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing in the middleweight division, on the line, legacy, and perhaps more important than anything, bragging rights. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring the fighters to the stage and to their seats for this final press conference. Introducing first, with a professional record, a perfect one. 23 fights, 23 victories, including 14 wins by knockout. From London, England, he's the European Continental Welterweight Champion, the undefeated Conor the Destroyer Benn. And let's welcome his opponent to the stage. An outstanding professional record of 34 victories, 25 big wins by knockout, 3 defeats. From East Sussex, England, the 3-time IBO world champion and current IBO middleweight champion of the world, he is Chris Next Gen Eubank Jr. And at this time, ladies and gentlemen, let's turn this over to our host for this press conference. Please welcome Mr. Jamie Ward.
Thank you, Michael. Your host, Jamie Ward, from the unmistakable greatest, Mr. Michael Buffer. No doubt that will be clipped up immediately. That is one for the album. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go once again. The main event press conference. Look, we like boxing. That's why we are all here covering this wonderful sport. When we have a good fight, we like it a little bit more. But when we have a great fight, a mega fight, it's quite simple. We love it. And that is exactly what we have on Saturday night, a mega fight. The continuation of one of the greatest rivalries the sport has ever been blessed with. 35 years in the making, the Sons of Legends relight that flame once again on the grandest stage, a sold-out Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, in a quest for pride, bragging rights, family, supremacy. But as we said earlier, much more importantly than that is to settle their own growing, personal, deeply personal feud, which has developed over the last couple of years. Ring Magazine, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves proudly present Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. And I have no doubt, aside from the millions watching around the world, that for those lucky enough to be here on Saturday night, 65,000 sold out at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, that April 26, 2025, in the years to come, will be looked back upon as an I was there moment. Before we hear from those involved, and of course the most important people on this stage, Chris and Conor, we are going to hear from Rick Reno, COO of the Ring Magazine, to say a few words.
First, I want to thank everybody for coming out and supporting this event. And you know, I want to say, you know, make no mistake about it. This is not a Matchroom event. This is not a Boxer event. This is a Ring Magazine event. This is our identity, is these stack loaded cards. You know, we first wanted to put cards together. You know, we looked at the marketplace, and quite honestly, there was a lot of garbage out there, a lot of garbage events being peddled. When we, you know, met with different broadcasters to, you know, show them some of the events we wanted to put together, I mean, the people at the Zone, there were like tears in their eyes, tears of happiness, like, oh, you're gonna present this to us? Because they've been peddled so much shit over the years that they were like, oh my God, you're gonna do events like this? And we said, we promise, we won't go away. It won't be 1 or 2 events, there'll be plenty of events. So the people that, you know, the promoters that partner with us, they know their fighters are gonna be in tough fights. There's no gimmies. Every now and then they try to, you know, sneak a stinker under there, think we won't notice. I swear, this guy's good, mate. He's good, it'll be a good fight. And, you know, we just cross it right off and put on evenly matched fights. And this main event is no different. And, you know, people could say what they want. You know, you hear a lot of comments when this fight was made, but it takes a lot to get to this level where Chris and Conor are at. And it even takes more when you know, some people may say, oh, you know, they got a famous last name. It's even tougher when you got a famous last name. When you're a nobody, your surname's unknown, you lose a fight, people just look the other way. When you got a famous name like these guys, you know, they lose a fight, they say, ah, I knew he wasn't as good as his old man. Ah, the guy's no good. It takes a lot. It's easy to say anything from the sidelines, but it takes a lot to get to this level, and it's even much tougher when your father's a legend. There's a lot riding on this fight with these 2 guys. And, you know, it's one of those fights, I don't know which way it's going to go. People I talk to, 1 week they're siding with Chris, next week they're siding with Conor. No idea which way it's going to go. It's just one of those fights, like someone stated earlier, you're going to remember it years down the line. And those are the types of events we want to do, whether it's this, whether it's Times Square, Alcatraz, the event we're doing in July in New York. We want to do stacked cards, evenly matched fights, because, you know, we don't want to be peddling garbage out there like a lot of other people are. I don't want to name any names. I won't say if any guilty parties are with me right now, but...
Name them. Go ahead. This is what we're here for.
Well, I could say a lot more, but I know Robert Smith is out here with his ticket book. I don't want to get into any trouble. He might find me enough. They may have to add me to the undercard by the end of this press conference. But, you know, I just want to say in closing, it's going to be a massive event. I look forward to this fight. And, you know, we have the stadium, and we have the fighters here, and we've even had the eggs. So we're ready. Let's go.
Okay, Rick, thank you very much. That was fantastic. Great way to kick things off here. Rick Breen, Ring Magazine. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to dive straight in with the teams. First of all, down there to my right, Jonathan Banks, Team Eubank. Jonathan, you've worked with some greats of this sport, Vladimir Klitschko, Gennady Golovkin, but in your time with this man, Chris Eubank Jr., in comparison to those greats, what have you always admired about this man's discipline, dedication, mindset, and most of all, ability?
Well, you pretty much just said it. That's what I admire about it. A lot of greats have one thing in common, and most of it is the discipline and what they're willing to sacrifice, not only to the sport, but to stay in the sport. So me and Chris, we had a wonderful camp, and he just, day to day, after day, he was able to show how dedicated he is to the sport, how disciplined he is to continue to pretty much stay in the gym day in and day out to prepare for this show.
And I know you respect Conor Benn, but as a student of the game, ultimately, what do you believe sets aside Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn this weekend?
As a student of the game, number one, I respect any person that make up in their mind to put a pair of gloves on and defend themselves, whether it's 10 rounds, 8 rounds, or 6 rounds, because it takes a certain type of mental fortitude to be able to do that. And in no way in the world should that be underestimated. But even with that, I think what separates what we have going on, meaning with Chris Eubank, is his mentality. It's a little bit different, and I do believe that with that mentality, along with that work ethic that he has, it's gonna be the separation between the two.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you very much. We're going to hear from Team Ben as well, Mr. Tony Sims. Tony, when you think about your relationship with Conor Benn, when he walked into the gym as a raw novice to where he is now on the grandest of stages, what makes this personal journey between you and Conor a special one when you see all of this?
Yeah, as you say, coming to the gym as a 19-year-old teenager, he was a raw talent then, and obviously every fight that he's been in, he's been under the spotlight, and we've all watched as his talents grew, and like you say, he's here now in probably the biggest fight in boxing, certainly the biggest British fight in boxing, and you know, it'll be tuned all around the world. Everyone around the world will be watching this fight and in this magnificent stadium.
And it's 1-0 to the Eubanks, one draw, of course. How do you believe your man settles that score on Saturday night?
Yeah, well, every expert, so-called expert that I listen to or watch on social media are all favouring Chris Eubank Jr. to win the fight, because obviously they're saying that Conor's at a disadvantage moving up 2 weights, and Chris is going to be too big for him and too skillful for him. But I do believe that Conor Benn carries the power up from welterweight to middleweight. I believe he's got the speed, and I believe in him himself that he wants this fight really badly, and obviously he's been through 2 years of hell. Over that course of time, he's gone from being a boy to a man, and we've seen in this camp that we've had 8 weeks in Palma, Mallorca. You know, I know every trainer says the camp's gone. We've had a great camp. The camp's gone fantastic, but we really have, and he's excelled in his training and everything he's done. Times on his running, his S&C, his rounds in the gym. He's been incredible. He's had world-level sparring. All the sparring partners we've brought in are all top world-level fighters, and he really has looked fantastic in sparring.
But leave that to me, because I want to talk about that.
And, you know, I believe in him, and I believe that he will come out victorious on Saturday night. And like I said earlier, he's been through 2 years, and sometimes things happen for a reason. We don't know why at the time, but God has a way of looking down, and things happen for a reason. He's been through hell for 2 years. But sometimes you have to go through these things to come out on top at the end, and I believe that Conor Benn, this is going to be his destiny. Saturday night will be his destiny, and I believe that he's going to win this fight.
Okay, Tony Sims, thank you very much. Back to Team Eubank. And the great Ronnie Davis is here. Ronnie, fantastic to have you here with us. You were, of course, in the corner for Chris Eubank Sr. against Nigel Benn. Both fights, November 1990 in Birmingham, October 93 at Old Trafford. But Chris Eubank Jr. here is someone you've known for his whole life. You were in the hospital the day he was born, when he walked into your gym for you to officially start training him at the age of 16. I'm going to ask you a similar question that I asked Tony. How proud are you of Chris Eubank Jr. and the man he has become?
Yeah, I'm obviously very proud of the kid. He's done great. He's been through some hard times, but he's like his father. Nothing beats him, mentally or physically. I always thought he was world class. When I first saw his father come in the gym, and I looked at him straight away, and I've been in this game a long time, and I thought about the same. And the same with him. He's a brilliant kid. He'll beat Conor, no disrespect to the other team, Tony and everyone, but he's too good for you, Conor, but I wish him the best of luck. That's all I can say.
The great Ronnie Davis, ladies and gentlemen, here with us today. We're going to hear quickly as well from the promoters on either side. Firstly, Ben Shalom. Ben, here we go. This is it. You were just talking to me off stage there. A lot of hard work behind the scenes, but we're here now. Not long to go until what we're all waiting for, the sound of that opening bell. Make your case for your man.
I can't quite believe we're here. It's been a long road. It's almost a pinch yourself moment. Eubank Ben 3. October 93, that was the month I was born in Manchester, and now we're here, part of the biggest British boxing story ever. It's an amazing feeling to be here. I think everyone's going to remember this event. Just look at the media attention here today. I've never seen anything quite like it, but for me it's because of Chris Eubank Jr., the biggest name in British boxing outside of that heavyweight division. He's a huge star, and I think, to be honest, it's those big nights that he's been in, it's those big fights that he's had that is going to see him through on Saturday night. It's a monumental event. It's the first Ring Magazine event as well, so to see them put this on, a sold-out Tottenham Hotspur straight off the bat, it's incredible. Thank you to our partners, Matchroom, and thank you to the Ring Magazine, thank you to His Excellency, but most of all, thank you to Chris Eubank Jr. for making this event what it is, and I'm looking forward to an absolute statement on Saturday night.
Ben, thank you. Absolute statement. Promoter Eddie Hearn, over to you to make your case for Conor Benn this weekend.
Yeah, just a few thank yous. Thanks to Rick. I knew this was coming. Do you know what I've been thinking?
Was coming.
Do you know what I've been thinking? Can I not even say a few thank yous, or?
No.
Okay. Matchroom have to speak, right? So I'm going to switch it up. I'm just going to firstly say how proud I am of Conor Benn. What he's been through these last 2 years, and I can't wait for him to smash you to pieces on Saturday night. But Matchroom have to be represented, so I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to let someone else speak on my behalf. I'm going to let someone else speak on my behalf.
You don't have to.
I'm going to introduce you to scumbag number 2, Frank Smith. Come and take over.
You don't have to do that.
Okay.
Hello.
Substitution.
Chris. Good.
Frank, if Eddie's not speaking, do you think you're going to get a word in? Come on.
No, but I don't speak as long as he does. That's the one thing I'll give you. I'll be very quick.
We're going to have some parliamentary procedure today, and anything that Matchroom, Eddie Hearn or Frank Smith have to say is irrelevant and will not be heard.
Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate your kind introduction.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Look, I'm going to be very quick because I don't want to get cut off.
You are going to be very quick.
I'm going to be very quick, Chris.
You're not going to say anything.
Chris, don't worry.
You are no
I'm
different to Eddie
saying something, aren't I? So, you know, it seems to be working so far.
There's no little way you guys are going to
sorry, I can't hear you.
If I direct a question to you or to Eddie, then you can speak.
That's very honourable.
Outside of that, I don't want to hear a peep. And if
Thank you very much.
Talk to me, or if you try and do your little speeches to the media, I'm going to shut it down. Because guess what? People aren't here to listen to you already speak. They want to hear what me and Conor have to say.
I don't disagree with that, but people weren't here to hear
your promoter speak. Doesn't matter how much time you're going to waste here.
You allowed him to speak.
You're not going to out-talk me. You're not going to out...
No, I wouldn't dare out-talk you. I know I can't out-talk you, Chris.
Exactly.
You're a very good talker.
So I don't know why you're on the stage, but you should probably get Eddie back in.
It was just to help.
He's got a better chance of saying anything than you do, trust me.
Oh, really?
Eddie's irrelevant, but you are...
Super irrelevant.
Exactly.
I know.
So
I know. I'm so irrelevant. You called me a scumbag in a press conference. It was nice of you to bring up my name. Thank you very much. But anyway, I'm going to be very quick.
I know you're going to be quick. I've told you already.
Many years.
There are no words that you're going to say here that are going to fucking get past the fact that I've said you're not speaking.
Okay.
We can do the back and forth. So it can get boring.
It could get very boring, so I'll end it here.
It will get boring.
I can't wait for Saturday night. It's
what?
going to be a great night.
I don't mind.
Thank you to the Ring Magazine. Thank you to Turkey Al Sheikh. That shut you up.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
2 words in. Everybody, give him a clap.
Thank you very much for immensely helping my profile. Thank you. I'll pass it on now to people more important than myself.
Okay.
And thank you for having me.
Have a good day.
But just before we hear, of course, from Chris and Conor, 2-weight world champion Mr. Nigel Benn is in the house here as well this evening. Nigel, this is what you and Chris Eubank Sr. started.
Yep.
And here we are, 32 years on after your last meeting. Your sons relight the flame once again.
Yep.
What are your thoughts, your feelings? What's been, as well, the biggest piece of advice you've passed on to Conor this week?
Do you know what?
I watched him. You know the saying goes, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But what happens in Mallorca, I'm telling. I am telling. And I'll tell you about Conor's sparring, and God is my witness. First, he started sparring with Denzel Bentley, super middleweight, but really at light heavy. Had his hands full with Conor. I mean, Conor was just going through it, 10 rounds, done it easy. Then he was sparring with a guy that knocked out Munguia, Bruno, I can't remember his last name, Suarez, been sparring with him, another light heavy. Conor was bullying him around. And then to put the cherry on top, he started sparring with a guy called William Skull, an IBF champion, who's fighting a week after Conor. Come in there 12-handed. Shouldn't say it, but you know what? Because for the last 2 years, all I've been hearing negative. I'm going to tell you about my son. First 4 rounds, him and Conor were even Stevens, and they were going, oh, perfecto, 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 every time he was hitting Conor. Conor was just walking him down. Then about round, I think 5, he was up, no, because Conor only has 40 seconds rest. And then what he was doing in between the middle of the rounds, he was sitting on the rope because he was tired. Then it came to round 5, 6, 7, started feeling the pace. This is William Skull, IBF champion.
Superstar.
And then after that, no, you can't shut me up, mate, because you ain't been where I've been.
I'm not trying to shut you up. I'm enjoying
But anyway, but then what happened, round 8 came.
Uh-oh.
And then, Tony, we looked at each other and we thought, he just quit. He just stopped. Couldn't take no more. After 8 rounds, I meant to be doing 10 rounds. And me and Tony looked at each other and think, what the friggin' hell just happened there? And I got my boy and I thought, my little boy. He just damaged the IBF world champion. And you know what it is? I am so confident this don't go past 4 rounds. I know my son. Back him all the way. And Conor's not a 12-round fighter. He's an old school fighter that can do 15 rounds. But you're going to see him, mate, the power that he's got. No one ain't seen him for the last 2 years. Oh my gosh. You lot are in for a treat. Mark my word. You are in for a big, big treat. Thank you all very much.
Nigel Benn, 2-weight world champion, thank you very much. Well, here we go then. Let's hear from the fighters, both sides of Saturday's main event. Firstly, Mr. Chris Eubank Jr. Chris, you told the DAZN broadcast this week that you are at peace. There is no chip on your shoulder. Despite all of this and everything that is seemingly at stake on Saturday night, what is helping you to have that feeling of tranquility right now?
I know what's coming. I prepared my whole life for these moments. I've put the time in. I've dedicated decades to this sport, and I've done it all without cheating, without cutting any corners, and I'm proud of that. The mentality I have, the experience I have, the fortitude and the will is what I will be using on the night to take out my adversary in Conor Benn.
Conor, you've been on big stages, under the spotlight, since you turned professional. For both of you, big shoes to fill. But on Saturday night, when you ring walk in front of over 65,000 fans and everything that's on the line, how have you remained in control of your emotions on a week like this?
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is what I do. I love this game. This is what I live for. You know, this is every fighter's dream when they turn professional to live this life. You know, there was no more pressure than a 19-year-old kid with no amateur experience walking out to a packed O2 arena. That's pressure. You know, I've been doing this for 10 years and you know, I'm more than prepared, more than ready. You know, I wish it was Saturday night tonight.
Chris, you have said the procedure will be parliamentary. You know what that means, but for those of us who don't know, can you paint that in a picture for us? What does that look like on Saturday night?
You know, Conor speaks about pressure and dealing with it, but you know, there's a reason why he had his training camp in Spain. You know, the kid had to flee his own country to prepare for this fight. He knew that he couldn't handle the pressure of, you know, walking these UK streets and having people shouting out drug cheat and egg jokes. He didn't want to be involved in any of that. So he took himself away, he hid away, and you know, now he's back, and now he thinks he can use me to kind of get back into the good graces. You know, I haven't fled. I haven't hid away from anything. I've been in these streets. I've been to gyms all over London over the last 2 months. I've been and spoke to kids. I've done all the media obligations I've needed to do around the country. I've felt the energy on the streets of the UK over these last 2 months, and it's real. You know, people are invested in this. You know, everywhere I go, people are screaming, and most of the time it's positive, which is it's a new thing for me. I'm still getting used to that, but you know, I am happy with the place I am at mentally. I don't think Conor can say the same thing. I think he's feeling the pressure and the heat. I think he's feeling that, and he's going to feel a hell of a lot more in a couple of days' time.
If the procedure is to be parliamentary, Conor, what's on your manifesto of what happens? And in response to Chris, are you feeling the pressure?
No, no pressure. You know, I live for this. I've had the fight over 100 times in my head. You know, for me, it's just focusing on the training, you know, removing myself from my comfort zones, my familiarities, my family, and, you know, fully dialing in. You know, I'm not going to allow myself to Chris and go back and forth, and, you know, all that PR's done. I'm excited to get in there and put my hands on him Saturday night, irrelevant of all the rubbish he wants to talk and you know, names, and, you know, we're not at school, and come Saturday night I get to put my hands on him.
You will be at school on Saturday, my friend. I'm taking you right to school.
Well done, you.
At school, I'm going to be the headmaster, my friend.
Yeah.
And you will be in detention.
You are funny, Chris. You made me laugh. Just focus on getting the weight off, fat boy.
Weight? What's weight? Weight is, everyone always talking about this weight thing. You know, yeah, the weight is painful.
Yeah, good.
I'm in pain right now. I'll be in even more pain tonight and tomorrow morning.
And the worst pain you've ever experienced comes Saturday night, I promise you that right now.
You know, the question I ask myself is, what is pain?
Oh, shut up, Chris.
No, I'm serious. What is it?
Oh, shut up. You're going off. Oh, God.
I have a 31-year-old brother. He is buried in the desert in Dubai. That's pain. You know, I have his son, Raheem, 3 years old. You know, he asks, why can't I see my daddy? Why doesn't he take me to school? That's pain. My own father, a man I idolized for my entire life, and he doesn't speak to me. We haven't spoken for years, and he thinks I'm a disgrace. You know, these things are what pain is to me. And if I can deal with all of these trials and tribulations, then the weight cut and the rehydration clause, these are all things that are not an issue. They are not important.
Okay. Chris, in the build-up to the original date, you said 60% is what you'll be and 60% will be enough. What percent will you be on Saturday, and what percent will be enough to beat Conor Benn?
Yeah, we're not doing the percentages anymore. That was for the first time around before Conor got caught cheating. Now it's about, preparing to get this kid out of boxing. We're not taking him lightly anymore. He should have taken the chance he had in that first fight. When I was underestimating, when I was, playing, when I was taking him lightly, that was his best shot. And now it's gone, because now I have a duty to boxing, to the public, to the fans who he's lied to, who Eddie Hearn's lied to for the last 2-3 years. I have a duty to erase these guys from the picture.
Conor, the Ring magazine reported in the last couple of hours that you have requested for Billy Joe Saunders to inspect the wraps of Chris Eubank Jr. on Saturday. Is that true?
Don't ruin all the surprises, Jamie.
Well, the Ring magazine reported it before.
Maybe not.
What do you make of that, Chris?
It's irrelevant. Hand wraps is not going to save Conor Benn from the arse kicking he's about to receive.
Ooh, scary. Ooh.
Conor, hearing you speak this week, you say what gets you out of bed on those early morning runs, it's the fear of losing to another man. What about the fear of losing to this man, Chris Eubank?
Yeah, listen, it's always personal. I'm a very emotional fighter. I fight with my heart on my sleeve, and it's the way I've been my whole career. It's the only way I know. So for me, he is another man. Yes, his name is Eubank, and I won't be losing to a fighter whose name's Eubank, especially not this man.
He says he has no game plan, Chris, just a hop, skip and a right hand, and that'll be all she wrote. Do you believe him?
No, I don't. But that's the beautiful thing about this sport. That doesn't matter what you believe. All that matters is what actually happens once that bell goes, and nobody knows what's going to happen until it happens. What I do know is whatever strategy, whatever game plan these people have come up with, nothing will prepare them for the fire that they're going to receive in a couple of days' time.
Final one to you, Chris. You did say it's impossible that this fight goes 12 rounds. As a final message, how do you beat Conor Benn on Saturday night in the dream scenario?
How do I beat Conor Benn? Any way I want to. It's not about strength and speed and age and weight, all the things that you guys love to talk about. It's about dedication. It's about paying, who's paid their dues and who's done it clean, who's dedicated their life, who's real and who's fake. And I believe all of those categories are in my favor.
And Conor, final one to yourself. You've told us no game plan. You don't need a game plan. When the opening bell rings here at Tottenham Hotspur,
That's right.
What happens?
Yeah, I'm coming in to take his head off.
And just finally, Chris, Eubank supremacy. That's what you've kept talking about in the build-up to this fight. You can cement that on Saturday. Is that part of what comes with all of this occasion for you as well, personally?
Legacy indeed. I'm confident. I still want that £1 million bet that Eddie Hearn said he wanted to do. Eddie, what's up, man? We going to put the mill on or what?
Am I allowed to talk now?
Well, I asked you a question, so of course, get on the stage and answer.
Yeah, I'll talk. Firstly, I want to say how proud I am of Conor Benn.
No. When I say talk, I mean answer the question.
No, you're all right. Have a day off, mate.
Are you going to fulfill the bet, or are you going to run away like the weasel that you are? I tell you what. So his excuse at the moment is he's going to get fined £100,000 by the board if he bets, and that's why he can't bet me this £1 million that he said publicly that he wanted to do. So how about I make it easier for you, and I'll put $1 million up, and you put 900,000 up, so I've covered the 100K fine that you're going to get that you can't afford to pay, and let's get it on that way. Let's put the money in escrow tonight, and winner takes all on Saturday. How about that?
As I said to your promoter over there, we'll have a conversation with Mr. Smith. If I won't face any penalties on my licence, we can consider it. In the meantime, get back to the hotel, take that weight off, and get prepared to get an absolute spanking on Saturday night at Tottenham Hotspur.
That's what I thought. Always a way to weasel your way out of what you're supposed to be doing, which is honouring your word.
Okay, if Eddie won, Frank Smith, maybe you can.
What?
The bet?
I haven't got £1 million, mate. Do you think I'd be up here doing this? I'd be on a beach somewhere if I had that much money.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude the final press conference. Nearly time for the sound of that opening bell Saturday night. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. We're going to pose now for the face-offs. Thank you very much.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
This Saturday, April 26th, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 12 rounds of boxing.
Well, there we have it. I mean, they're about to come face to face. It's probably the closest that they've been in a long, long time. Chris, supremely confident. Supremely confident.
Of course, isn't he always supremely confident? And I think, I think he feels he has the moral high ground here. He's pretty much said that, hasn't he? So, he thinks he wants to put Conor in his place. And again, he has all that experience, a lot of experience, more than Conor Benn, and he thinks he's going to prove that on Saturday night.
This is as close as they've got to each other since the egg incident. And I mean, look at that. This is a death stare. They want to do each other serious damage. And I think if there wasn't security there now, they'd just go at it.
Fireworks. Saturday night promises fireworks. Look at the eyes, they don't lie on both. This means so much to both. It really does, representing that surname against its bitter rival. This is big.
That is a great picture.
I mean, that's going to go down in the history books. I mean, it already is. I mean, they've not broken eye contact in at least a minute here. I mean,
2 more sleeps.
I'm sold. I'm in. Let's go.
Who's going to be the first man to turn? I don't think either of them give up. We could be here all day. This broadcast could go on for months.
Do you know what? You can see this like every day in every single fight you watch, but when it's a big fight, it just feels different, doesn't it? Just that tingle of what's going to happen.
The rumour has just changed. All eyes on the two fighters, Eubank, Benn, and they've just got eyes for each other. I mean, it is.
How iconic is this photograph? What the dads have gone through, the 2 fights, the bad blood between the fathers, and you're seeing it here. This image here is special.
And the way Nigel's just kind of quietly lurking in the back, and it's. He's ready.
Yeah, he's just even that ring magazine in the middle between them both. Everything just feels right, doesn't it? It's brilliant.
It does. I don't know how they're going to separate these two.
It's about legacy, it's about bragging rights. 12 rounds of boxing in the middleweight division. Conor the Destroyer Benn.
I mean, they're going to have to break these guys up.
Yeah, they're not going to walk away. You got to physically move them out of the way, I think.
I mean, this is a powder keg. They've started talking to each other now. It's coming, I think he said. That was a total 3-minute stare down.
Eubank has been brilliant today. He really has. In everything he said, it's been absolutely fantastic. Even that heart-wrenching story about obviously his brother Sebastian and his son Raheem and everything else in between that. And Conor Benn has been cooler than what I thought he was. I have to be fair.
Yeah, I think he's taken a lot of the emotion out of it now.
I think he's understood. He's not going to get a word in. He's, doesn't have the experience, doesn't have that kind of, I wouldn't call it star quality, but that showman. That showman. But what he does have in abundance is ridiculous will to win, fire, and I think he's just taken a step back here and let this man play the villain. I don't know if it's a good.
I don't think he's the villain anymore.
Yeah,
No,
I think he's just playing himself, and it's just set the tone perfectly, hasn't it?
One more day And then Saturday comes and it's fight night. This is incredible. Tomorrow is going to be the weigh-in. Listen, guys, I can't wait. I want to see these guys. I want to see the shape they're in. I want to see how much they talk about. They're putting in that hard work and that desire to win. We're going to see that when they step onto those scales.
Do you know when you say, and it's mad, when you say you can't wait, what do they feel like? we can't wait. They're frothing at the bit. When they got to make the weight, then that's the worst part. But once that's it's funny when you train for the fight. You're almost like you need to fight.
Now, guys, there is way more coming on DAZN. It is not just this Saturday's Fatal Fury Eubank Benn, which will finally settle a 35-year family feud in front of a sellout crowd here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You can buy that now at DAZN.com/boxing. Also, Cruiserweight World Champion Chris Camozzi takes on Andrea the Italian Thunder Bici at BKFC 73 in Italy. And Dream Boxing brings us Adrian Krasnicki versus Diego Ramirez on Saturday night. Plus, Kurt Scooby will take on Jesus Vasquez Jr. live from New Jersey in the USA. There is plenty more happening on DAZN. All you got to do is go on the app and check the schedule. You will not be short of great fights to watch.
Live on DAZN Worldwide, April 26th. Eubank Jr. versus Benn. Over 30 years of rivalry and hatred. I do hate him. 2 warriors, 2 wars, but the feud was left unfinished. Then, a bloodline born. Legacy, respect. The next generation.
My dad's my hero.
A new destroyer. Rivalry in their veins. Hatred in their blood.
This is going to be the bloodbath.
For family.
It's personal. I can't lose to this man.
History.
Eubank, Nigel Benn. This is a war.
Legacy.
This is the final chapter.
Eubank Jr. versus Benn. Live on DAZN Worldwide. April 26th. Buy now at DAZN.com/boxing.
This Saturday's Fatal Fury Eubank against Benn kicks off a string of big fights coming your way on DAZN. On May the 2nd, Ryan Garcia faces Rolly Romero live from Times Square in New York City. That will be incredible. And that is followed by Canelo Alvarez's pursuit of undisputed super middleweight glory in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. You can pick one or go all in with a knockout weekend bundle, and that's exclusively on DAZN, and it's available to buy now. It's an absolute pleasure. I mean, there are plenty of fantastic voices in boxing, but Adam Smith, yours might be one of the very, very best. It's a pleasure to have you here. What have you made of all of this?
It's fantastic, isn't it? It's what we live and breathe this sport for. A sport I've been following since I was 9 years old. Chris Eubank Sr. was one of my heroes growing up as a teenager. I got to work with him and Nigel in the latter part of their careers. I remember their fights like it was yesterday. A wonderful, simmering, horrible rivalry between the pair, polar opposites. And look at their sons, 30 years later, just repeating almost. There's so much in both of them that remind me of their dads. Chris, so stubborn, so cold, so emotionless in the way he goes about business, and Conor, so much raw and had heart on his sleeve, and just like Nigel was. No, it's fascinating. One of the great rivalries in British sport, and we get to see the third installment, the third encounter here on Saturday night. Cannot wait.
You got what you asked for, Ed. I spoke to you just before this presser, and you said, I hope something goes down here.
Yes.
It did.
It did.
When you look back at the 2 press conferences, would you say it's 2-0, Eubank?
Well, the one in Manchester, I think, probably was 10-7 with the egg smashing. The one here 2 days after that was psychological advantage for Eubank, the way he shut up Eddie Hearn. The 50,000 for the undercard fighters, the neck stuff got Conor riled. I thought Conor was much cooler today, and he's been really calm all week. But Chris has little digs. I love the Frank Smith Eddie thing. I knew that was going to happen. I'd certainly heard that might happen. yeah, really well played. I thought Jamie did a brilliant job up there of conducting it all, and yeah, it was fantastic. It was spicy, there was needle, there was tension, and there wasn't anything stupid today, which I think was really nice to have. It was 2 days before, and they're ready for battle.
It's just what we needed, really, Adam, wasn't it? Just the right amount of pressure, taunting without anything going overboard.
I think so. I think we had that. We had the eggs, set everything off, and yeah, Conor went to training camp. We've heard from Nigel and from Tony how well that's gone. I know Junior rather has gone as well. He's done brilliantly in his camp. I know it's been in London, all over. He's actually been to lots of different gyms under Jonathan Banks. I think he conducts things his way, Chris, you know, bringing Ronnie Davis up there as well. I think he knows exactly what he plans to do on Saturday night. I think the weight thing is interesting over the next few hours. Super middle. He's a big lad, and he's 35, Junior. So that's going to be tough these next few hours.
He is a big lad, but his last 4 fights have been at 160. So he is quite tight at the weight, but it's a weight that he is used to making. So this process over the next 24 hours isn't something that will come as a shock to him, I don't guess.
It's not a shock, but he's 35. I mean, the boys will tell you better how hard it does making weight as you get older. And I think also with the rehydration clause in there to match that too, that's tough. So it's not going to be easy, but look, you guys will know better than me.
Look, I'm intrigued. I would love to know what Chris Eubank Jr. will weigh the next day. Like, for instance, when I'd done it, I couldn't have put any more food and drink inside of my body. It was annoying having to check the scales, get on and make sure that the next morning I'd be fine. But I woke up the next morning and I was 7 pounds over. I'd love to know, what do you think Eubank would come in?
Wow.
If he was given the opportunity to go all out.
If there was no rehydration, there was no way in like the IBF rules on the Saturday, wow, I think he could come in 1.5 stones over. I really do. I think he could be massive. Look, we remember Ricky Hatton, Nassim Hamad putting on huge weight. You know, I remember Naz, I think, was 813.5 when he fought Juan Cabrera. They packed him up with food overnight. I think it was Burger King and KFC and that sort of stuff. They weighed him, I think, about 11 hours after the weigh-in, and he was 10 stone 4. So, you know, fighters can put on a lot of weight. Acelino Freitas definitely did when he fought you.
Yeah, otherwise I would have won.
Well, we thought you might do in that first round when you had him down. Anyway, that's another story.
Well, guys, let's have a little bit of fun here. We know this card is Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves. We've actually put myself in the game. A little bit of AI magic. Okay, this is what I'd look like as a fighter. I mean, I'll take that. I've not looked that good since 2018, for those that know.
You look like that. No, to be fair to you, mate, I think you look like that. No, that's
Did you look that good
that's just a photograph.
I don't. You know what? I wish. And you know what? I'm not the only one who's getting in the net. And we got one of you as well, so you haven't got away scot-free.
Look at that. James Bond, need your hat out.
That's very, very funny. I hope my kids don't see that.
Guys, thank you so much. Listen, do not forget, we've got way more coming in on DAZN over the next few days. We've got 6 o'clock tomorrow, the weigh-in. We're going to get to see how these guys look at the weight. It's going to be something that we cannot miss. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Barry, Adam, it's been sensational. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you soon.
We've walked a similar path in the shadows of legends.
That's mental, that is. We've got Eubanks to sign it as well. Yeah, let me quickly scribble a bit.
They say lightning never strikes twice. I knew that the chances of me ever being able to make it in boxing were so slim that it's like, it wasn't even really worth me trying. I guess the sickness inside of me, let me see how far I can get. But I've done that now.
Why do this to yourself? Because I love the challenge, the drive, the goals, the ambition, the fighting. As long as I reach my full potential and I can look back and go, I've done everything I could.
I don't have to fight now. I could retire tomorrow and I would be okay. But I don't want to be fine. I want to be excellent.
Before I even turned pro, it got mentioned. Irrelevant of how far apart we were in our careers when we first started, the gap seems to have closed very quickly, mainly because of all the work I've been doing.
He doesn't worry me. He doesn't scare me. I don't see him as a threat.
What, you think I'm going to be a walk in the park?
I mean, yeah, on a nice summer's day. You got to prove me wrong.
I rise to the occasion every single time. I'm ready for this.
Life's a colder man. many colors. It is never black and white. Can't have one without the other.
In my opinion, I'd stop him inside 8 rounds.
I do fancy my son. Trooping session.
Said this and I believe I won by stoppage within 6.
If he's saying it's going to end in 6 rounds, then it will end in 6 rounds. He will end in 6 rounds.
Boy is in trouble. Yes! 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 Yes!
The dark without the light.